Cool, right, I'm good to go. Yep, it's already up. What's the channel called? Just so I can find it quick. Okay. Uh, okay, will do. Thanks for the help. Hello and good evening, everyone. I am your host for tonight, Played Rex, standing in. So forgive me if I get any names wrong. Anyway, today we are at Belgium for 100% race, so 44 laps of this 4.3 mile circuit. Certainly a test of endurance for the drivers in Division 2 today. Certainly not one I would fancy myself. No qualifying today. However, we do get the 2-minute cooldown just before the formation lap, just to let everyone kind of get settled in. So thank you to everyone for who's watching, who's joined in tonight. It's certainly a race I'm looking forward to. Belgium is definitely probably my favourite track on the circuit, on the calendar. And it's one of my favourite races to watch in real life as well. Hopefully one I can go to one day. It's certainly one of the more historical tracks in F1, of course. First races here were all the way back in the 1920s, long before even Formula 1 was a thing. 19 corners around this track. It's likely to be a one-stop, but barring any damage, most drivers will probably start on the mediums, having free choice of tyre after rain in qualifying yesterday. So most guys will probably go on the mediums to the hards. It's generally a one-stop this track, as much as the track is long. Tyre wear, not too much of a factor. We do have just light cloud today, no rain on the card. So no wet weather to throw in, as you do sometimes get around Belgium. Of course, some of the most famous races around this track have come in the rain. Who can forget that famous European Grand Prix, where, of course, we lost many cars on the first lap due to the wet weather. Many races here over the years. Of course, track's gone through a fair few refurbishments as well to get to where we are today. Used to be a lot longer than it is now. Where the track turns into the chicane at the top of the Kemmel Straight, the track actually used to carry on from there. Of course, the most wins as a driver here is Michael Schumacher. 6 wins at this circuit, so he certainly fancied it, as I'm sure some of the drivers towards the front of the grid do today. Track that often doesn't have a winner from pole, mind you, although of course the last race was from pole position where Lewis Hamilton won. Most wins by a constructor as well, of course being Ferrari, having been around the sport for so long. It's very unlikely to be anyone else with this circuit being around for 70 or so years now. So, 100%, as I mentioned before, certainly makes it a very grueling task around this track. The drivers towards the end will probably be getting very tired, so watch out for mistakes. We do have strict corner cutting on as well, so again, we could have a fair few penalties. Belgium is a track where it's fairly easy to pick up a few corner cutting warnings here or there, and suddenly you get 3 seconds added to the end of your race. So drivers will be heading out for our formation lap in just a second. Hello to Spudhead in the chat. If you guys want, pop any predictions in the chat before the race. Gonna help me out. I don't know who the quickest guys are in this league. This is my first time here, so looking forward to seeing some good racing. Mind you, I'm sure the drivers here have some spectacular moves hidden up their sleeves for later in the race. Belgium a track with many overtaking spots, unlike some of the tracks we have on the calendar nowadays. Of course, the most famous one is the Camel Straight, that long DRS sector. A lot of drivers will be looking to make their moves there, probably the safest place on the track. However, look out for some banzai moves down into turn 1 as well. Some guys get some good runs out of the final chicane. Formula Europe saying that Jesse would win if he could race, so someone to watch out for in later weeks, I'm sure. But yeah, of course, turn 1, look out for some banzai moves, especially on lap 1 as the session starts to count down. It's a very famous corner, especially if you play off on online. I'm sure if you guys know about online lobbies, turn 1 is very rarely one you make through with your front wing still in one piece. So here we go, 10 seconds out of a start of a formation lap. Drivers just be looking to get as much heat and brake temperature into the tyres tonight. Shout out to Hedge in the chat saying Lewis to win tonight. Ryan Mills is a surprise package as well, so I'll be keeping an eye on him as the race goes through. Get the track map up just so we can kind of see where everyone is. Track map's always a bit handy to see with pit stops and stuff, as well as to who's going to come out where as CH55 Max setting off from pole. Of course, the one disadvantage you do get in pole position is you are waiting the longest for the other cars to come round. Those guys at the back, well, they're quite a way down the straight, as you can see. They're still at the start of the Camel Straight, so it's very tricky right-hander. It's one that can catch all the drivers out. Expect to see a fair few lockups into there as well for the guys who aren't running any anti-lock brakes. Certainly not an easy corner to get right, that one. Yes, 44 laps of this very long and grueling circuit. 19 turns in total. Some of the more popular ones in the F1 calendar, and we can see a wide variety here of strategy. Most of the front runners going for soft tyres, apart from Hobbsy in second on the medium, so he's going to be looking to stretch that stint out. A few of the midfield as well on the mediums, as we've had someone, 2 drivers disqualified, so a bit of contact there from guys near the front on the formation lap. That's not something you want. Of course, back on the old F1 games, I don't know if it still works like this, you'd end up with very cold tyres by the time everyone else got back round, especially on a track this long. Of course, Belgium is one of those tracks where it is quite crucial to get the pit stop phase right, as Whitey and X-Cam making contact as well, so they're going to be waiting on the grid for the drivers to get back round. Yes, here we go. As the drivers approach, the CP will be taking over now. They're going to line back up on the grid and get us underway for these 44 laps. As you can see, the game predicting soft to mediums to the end. So, probably a strategy a lot of drivers will go for. As much as there is overtaking spots, track position quite important around this track. As we just wait for the final few cars to line up. And here we are, 5 red lights. And I believe we're away. I can hear engines in the background, or not. No, it was just the game faking me out. Good old Cody's. And away they go into turn 1, and Max gets a brilliant start. Hobbsy and Spudhead side by side into turn 1, and I believe Spudhead's come out ahead there, so he's got a good start. He's made a position up. They now down fight down towards Eau Rouge, up towards Valion, up the hill. There's a VSC. I don't know if, oh, and Wyatt's got a 5-second penalty for a severe collision with, I believe, AFL, as VTEC's also got a 5-second penalty for a severe collision. So drivers going to be slowing right down, trying to keep under that delta as much as they can. Unfortunately, Cody's with the good old lights glitch there, so sorry for the race start. So VSC, drivers just going to be taking it easy, just going to be reviewing their start. I don't think there were too many winners and losers out of that. Let's just see, we have got a couple penalties. So yeah, AFL losing a fair few positions actually off the start, as has Wyatt and Lewis. So Whitey's going to be very happy with that start. Of course, Spudhead up to second now. So yeah, a couple drivers getting pretty decent starts there. Clausen as well, 5 positions. So he's going to be happy with that too. As the VSC goes, and we're back underway here in Belgium. So Spudhead gaining a bit of time there as well under the VSC, so he obviously got a very good restart, as he's going to be right in the toe now on this long run down to the final corner. Sector 3 pretty much flat out until he gets the final corner. They go side by side with Blanchimont. Oh, and Spudhead goes off the track. He's got a penalty. He might have to give that position back. I don't think the game's going to be too happy about that one, but looks like he's keeping the movers in the background. Hobbsy makes a move on Max. They're side by side through the final chicane. Loses the rim, but they're still going. There's also the Renault and the Racing Point are still side by side on them up to turn 1 as well. They're still there. Max trying to hold it around the outside. I don't think he can. The Renault, the Racing Point up the inside. What a move from Alfie. Nearly got 2 overtakes in turn 1 there. Now a long run back up to Eau Rouge. Look at the Racing Point. He cuts the corner. That was a bit risky. You don't want to run on the grass there. Very easy to lose the car. Side by side now on the Kemmel straight as Whitey retires, so he's not going to be happy with that one. He was doing very well. Looks like he's lost it at the top of Eau Rouge. Maybe a bit of contact. Look at this very big cluster here now. About 6 cars, all within just a few tenths of each other. Going down to the tight right hander now. Very tricky here. You can get a very good run out of this. You can make some overtakes. Actually, I think we're under a safety car, possibly. There are yellow flags out. The game isn't telling me anything, but I have a feeling we might be. Is that VSC? Actually, I think we might have another VSC with Whitey retiring. So, hopefully, another exciting restart in store, as we got last time. These drivers, of course, in Division 2, looking to make a mark here, trying to stake their claim for possibly a place in Division 1 in the Endurance Series next year. As there's been a few more penalties totted up here. I don't quite know what they're for. As Alfie gets a very good restart. He's going to be looking to go side by side with Hobbsy. Hobbsy's going side by side with Max as well. Oh, and Hobbsy's out! I don't know if there was contact between him and Max, but he's going to be absolutely gutted about that, as Jacko's made a really good restart. He's jumped a couple positions here as well. Brewer's still right on the back of Alfie now, as Alfie's going side by side. Oh, he just about gets away. So Alfie's up to 2nd place now, as a few drivers have pitted, I believe. Yeah, a few drivers have pitted, so Spudhead's into the pits now. So Max has retaken the lead of this race. I wonder what the guys in the pits are going on to as they now fly up the hill. Through Eau Rouge up to Radion. Look at the slipstream he's got. Of course, DRS is open this lap as well, so this should make this overtake very easy. He gets past him as they head down towards the chicane. As Clausen is side by side with his teammate, and he gets past him as well. So the soft runners certainly getting the better start as Lewis is retired. I think he's crashed on Eau Rouge, and I think that's going to bring out another virtual safety car. 3 virtual safety cars in 3 laps. So the driver's not really being able to settle into a rhythm yet. So a lot of the drivers who have pitted have gone on to softs, interestingly, apart from Hobbsy. Watch out for him later in the race. He's gone on to the hards. Could possibly be trying to take those all the way to the end, although it would be 40 agonising laps on those hard tyres. Look at these guys up here, they're all bunched up. I don't quite know what's happened there. I don't know if the leader's maybe gone a bit too slow, but what drives behind now? Very close. As the VSC will probably be ending in just a second. It's about the right time for it to go now, so... Hobbsy's going to be absolutely gutted with that start there after he made such a great start. And there's the green flags. We're back underway again. Alfie's got a decent start with Max right behind him. He's gaining a lot of time here. Of course, the slipstream very powerful around this part of the track. Is he going to look for a move? He's thinking about it, but he thinks better of it. But he's going to be very close as the Renault nearly hits him as well. He's now going to have DRS on the pit straight. Is he going to look for a move into turn one? Watch out for Jacko in the background as Clausen dives into the pits. So I don't know if that's... He's retired as well. I think he might have had some damage. Because these guys in Division 2, they are looking to make their mark. They fly up the hill again. Very quick through here, about 180 miles an hour as Alfie runs very wide. That's going to give Max a chance. Watch out for Brewer in the background as well. He's going to be very close as they fly up the Kemmel straight, nearly 3 wide. Very tricky chicane. Of course, heavy braking zone. You'll see a lot of overtakes getting done into there. Popes into the pits as well, so he might have suffered some damage on that safety car restart. And Stephen here in the background now very close to the back of Alfie. These 3 cars all really close to each other. Only a few tenths between all 3 of them. So they now fly down towards Pouon. Probably no one's going to try and make a move here. But very, very risky. As in the background, VTEC overtakes X-Cam as well. So overtakes going on everywhere. I can barely keep up with them right now. Of course, Sector 2 probably not the main place for overtakes on this track. You're not going to see too many through there, but certainly Sectors 1 and 3, there's going to be a lot of action throughout this race today, and we're only 4 laps in, we're only 10% through this race. As Jay Wills retires, he's lost it on the exit where Giovinazzi famously did this year, and I think that's brought out another virtual safety car. I believe that's a VSC. I can't see the safety car on track, so another one as he crashes where Giovinazzi famously did last year in real life and obviously took out Russell as Brewer dives into the pit. So it'll be interesting to see what sort of strategy he's going on, if he's going to maybe go on to the hards and take them to the end of the race. Jacko now, who's made an amazing start from a bit further down the grid, up to 4th place as it stands on the mediums. So we're back to green flags again now. Blaze saying, is this a sprint race or endurance? Well, with the excitement going on at the minute, it certainly feels like a sprint race. Everyone making moves everywhere. It's mental right now. As we just jump further down the grid, VTEC very close here on Hobbsy into turn 1, looking to make a move on those soft tyres. He's going to have the tyre advantage right now as he makes the move stick into turn 1. So VTEC on those softs. Hobbsy's struggling a little bit on those hards. Maybe they aren't going to have much temperature in them with all the VSCs we're having so far. As further up, AFL just gets past Greg on the Kemmel straight into the chicane. So again, another overtake up there. And Hobbsy looks like he's got past VTEC as well under DRS. So he's doing very well. Jacko's up to 3rd place now with him and Alfie. I think Alfie might have gone off somewhere actually. Has he got damage or has he just made a mistake somewhere? No, actually yeah, he's lost the M plate on his front wing, so he possibly lost it, maybe had a collision there. Please saying these guys are lucky he wasn't allowed to race. As AFL and Greg's getting past Brewer now, so Brewer's lost it. He's crashed through Pouon. I think he's run it on the curb. Oh, that's going to be gutting for him. He was running quite hard on the grid. I think he's just about got away with no damage though, so he's a very lucky boy. He's not going to have to make a pit stop as he nearly takes out Wyatt as well as he passes through. Oh wow, what an exciting few races. He nearly loses it again as well. And further up ahead, Alfie's dove into the pits to replace that damaged front wing, so he's not going to be very happy about that. And I think Pope has lost it somewhere as well, out of the same corner where we lost Jay Wills earlier. So that corner certainly proving to be tricky for these guys so far. So Max now 3.5 seconds out in the lead. There's a fair few gaps opening up on track now. Because it says flat left rear as well, so that certainly is not going to be helping matters. Yes, AG Brewer has pitted, so he may have picked up a puncture, I think. Greg is getting very close now to the back of this racing point here. The Red Bulls on very different strategies. Greg's still on the tyre he started the race on. Hobbsy just behind on the mediums as Greg loses it out of that corner. That's going to allow Hobbsy to fly through him, and he completely overshoots this right-hander as well, allowing VTech through. So, couple costly corners there for Greg. That's lost him a couple positions. Brewer overtaking Wyatt in the background, and I think has Pope got a flat tyre, because if he... Oh no, he doesn't. He's just losing time somewhere, so... VTech were very close here to the back of Hobbsy. Of course, he is still going to have the tyre advantage. This is a 100% race, so these soft tyres are going to go for about 20 laps or so. Those fresh softs are just going to be a fair bit quicker through these corners, these high-speed corners especially, as Alfie's round ahead. So another, I think he's just crashed. I don't think he was near anyone at the time. He's going to be very unhappy with that. Brewer had the flat tyre, thank you. I thought he had a puncture, but I couldn't tell with this game sometimes. So Alfie with another collision, that maybe another pit stop. I don't know if he picked up any damage, but we're going to stay on board here with VTech because he's going to have DRS now into turn 1. Is he going to look to make a move up the inside? No, he does. He just can't quite close up enough as Alfie is back in the pits again. I'm surprised he's got any new tyres to go onto at this point, because that's his, I think, second pit stop already. VTech going to be looking to get the best run he can now at Radion. Right behind Hobbsy. Of course, Hobbsy was up at the front of the start of this race and then unfortunately either had a collision or lost it, and he's now down here in the midfield. There's a VTech's going to be going side by side. He looks to close the door, but Hobbsy's still there. But he just about gets a bit later on the brakes and clears him. Of course, these guys have been making a couple errors here and there though, so they are, yeah, definitely prone to overtakes. Steven's starting to close the gap now on Max out front. He's got down to about 3 seconds and then 8 seconds to Jacko. Of course, he is running medium, so he's going to be looking to go a bit longer into this race. Try and make the overcut work later on. How many penalties to get disqualified in 100%? I think it's 15 seconds, Blaze, if I remember rightly, but I'm not entirely sure on that one. I haven't done many 100% races online, so the only couple cars we have really close out here is Wyatt just behind Brewer, as Brewer overtakes XCAM as well, so he's starting to climb his way back up through. I think XCAM may have made a mistake actually, because he's been overtaken by Wyatt as well. It's 30 seconds and 50%. Oh, as Wyatt's retired! So I don't know if he had front wing damage, and it looks like he's run wide through that quick right-hander at the exit of Sector 2, as that brings out a full safety car. So this could shake the grid up a bit. Gonna be a fair few drivers diving into the pits now, I'd imagine. Maybe a few guys going on to hards. Of course, it is a long, long way round this track under the safety car. We've already lost 5 drivers so far tonight. So it'll be interesting to see how many guys make it towards the end. Of course, the less cars on track, the less likely you are to hit one of them. So they might be alright. As Pope, I don't know if he's struggling, maybe he's ghosting, but he's now a minute down, so he might have a chance to close up here. Of course, under the safety car, it's about a 2-minute 30 or 2-minute 40 lap, so Blaze predicting 8 people to finish right now, so he's certainly being optimistic. Of course, all the drivers probably going to be under at Delta right now. Blaze saying you heard it here first, 8 people to finish. So that's his prediction for this race. If you have any other predictions, such as who's going to win, maybe a surprise package for today, just pop it in the chat. So far, Hedges' prediction of Ryan Mills to be the surprise package not really coming to fruition for the Hash driver so far, but we still have a long way to go. 36 laps, so it'll be about 33 laps of pure racing, provided we don't get any more safety cars, as Max does come into the pit, so it'll be very interesting to see what tyre he goes on to. He's gone on to the mediums. He could possibly try and take those to the end of the race. I wouldn't be surprised if he did, but it's a very risky strategy on the mediums. They're going to be quite worn by the end. There's also in the background you see Spudhead and Liverpool fan pitting, so there may be a bit of double stacking going on at McLaren here. They've got about an 8-second gap, but in the F1 game it doesn't work very well. So yeah, you can see the team, they're just not really ready for him. Unlike in real life where you can actually organise a double stack, F1 games, not so much. And let's see the big winners and losers then of these first 8 laps. Only 2 penalties so far. As you can see here, VTech 12 positions, Jacko 7 positions as well, so he started 9th on the grid. Of course, drivers now, some of them on very different races to each other. Some guys are going to be on fresh tyres looking to go to the end, some guys are still going to have another pit stop to go. It's certainly going to make this one fascinating. Of course, a long way to go, very easy to make mistakes around Belgium, and the walls are surprisingly close around some corners. Watch the exit of Sector 2, that quick right-hander. That one often catches people out, as does the left turn a couple corners before as well. So now we're going to see the grid sort of bunching up now. Of course, we're under safety car. We've probably got another lap or 2 yet, so driver's going to be getting very close at the front now. So all eyes are now going to be on Stephen 7X, of course. He's going to be the one to get us back underway when the safety car does come into the pits. Pope still 38 seconds back, so him and Alfie should be, or at least Alfie will be on the back of the train by the time the safety car goes. Blaze making a couple of predictions in the chat. Someone with 0 penalties to win, but not to win by crossing the line first. That's quite a bold prediction, that one. Of course, penalties in a 100% race, especially. Very easy to pick up, as you're only allowed 3 corner cutting warnings before you get a 3-second penalty in 44 laps. That's very easy to do. And also Spud to win, but definitely not bias, so that's his pick. Of course, don't forget 2 points for fastest lap and 2 points for the driver who I feel was driver of the day. So plenty of points here on offer. If you finish second but get fastest lap and driver of the day, you still get 22 points. So that's only 3 points behind the lead in that case. Safety car still out for another lap, so the driver's just going to be kind of focusing, taking a good look in of their races now. Sort of studying where they are, what they want to do, what sort of lap they want to come in on. So here we are, lap 10 of 44, certainly been eventful so far. We've already lost, I believe that is 5 cars now. Wyatt, J. Wills, Clausen, Lewis and Whitey, so certainly been interesting, yeah. Yeah, Blaze making a good point here. The safety car is very slow round Spa. It is, I think it's about a 2-minute 40 lap time under the safety car. It's certainly not a quick one. But as he does point out, of course, around Spa, the restart is very interesting. It's very much a case of where do you go? Where does the lead driver really put his foot down and try and create a gap to second place? We will have a couple laps without DRS now, after a safety car, so that won't be a concern straight away. But where do you go? Do you go through Sector 3 and try and get a nice big gap into the final chicane, or do you just wait till the chicane and then launch it on the exit? You know, it's certainly something Stephen will probably be pondering up front right now. It's of quite a big thing now. Of course, we do have a long way to go, so it's not going to decide the race, but it could make it very, very interesting. There'll be a lot of cars very close to each other for a couple of very tight corners, so we could see a bit more damage. Possibly a couple more retirements. As Pope has spun under the safety car, pulling the old George Russell out of the back. Probably not what he was hoping for. So we haven't had the message yet of the safety car being in this lap. Well, of course, with Codemasters, you never know. They do like to throw a few surprises out there. It certainly makes the commentator's job interesting when you suddenly get stuff happening and you don't know why. But I believe the safety car is in, actually. Has it come out? I didn't see the message come up. So here we go now, all eyes on Steven as he restarts, but Jacko reads it beautifully. He's going to be looking to make a move here into turn 1. He dives up the inside perfectly, and he's going to be looking to get the run down the hill here, but Steven's probably going to get the switch back. They fly down towards the hill. Max is now side by side nearly through Eau Rouge. That was very brave, Mark Webber-esque through there. Watch out for Spudhead now in the background. He's going to have a run on Steven as Max is now very close to Jacko, probably deploying all the ERS he's got, but he will have saved up under the safety car, just not quite enough as Pope overtakes Greg Game Center as well, so he made up a position after that spin under the safety car. Here we go now, the cars very close to each other at the minute, the gaps are very small, there's going to be overtakes going on up and down the grid, drivers looking to make moves, of course everyone's pace has kind of been jumbled around as well, as Spudhead one's very wide in the background out of No Name, into Puon now, the car just 4 tenths away from each other. Bit of dirty air affecting them as well, especially through these high-speed corners. Steven here on 10-lap old softs looking to make a move on Max, but he runs wide. That opens the door for Spudhead, who makes a move through. He's going to be very happy about that. Spudhead now trying to keep the car together through these very quick right-handers here at the end of Sector 2. We fly into Sector 3, pretty much flat out the entire way until you get to that final chicane. Max looking to make a move here for the race lead on Jacko. He's on the fresher tyres. He looks up the inside. He's not quite there. He's going to look to make it into the final couple corners. Very late on the brakes by the Alfa Romeo. They're still side by side. And Max finally makes the move stick. Of course, no DRS just as yet, so these guys aren't going to have to worry about that. Spudhead in the background looking to make a move. AFL's very close here to Steven through the run through turn 1, but not quite there either. Cars are very close together now through this very quick part of the track. Flying up Eau Rouge about 190 miles an hour here on board with Spudhead. He's got a very good run. Jacko did not quite take the corner properly, so he's going to make the move on the Camel Straight. But watch out for Jacko coming back now as Ryan Mills retires. And I think that's going to bring out a VSC. Yes, it is. Oh dear, so Hedges' pick for surprise package of the day has certainly surprised everyone with a retirement. So he's not going to be very happy about that one. We have Greg's Game Center in the pits as well. So I think he must have had some damage somewhere in that restart. Of course, cars are very closely bunched together. Just a reminder, on the VSC, it's not like the safety cars. They go green. The cars don't bunch up. They just have to stay under a delta as Pope gets a very good restart. He jumps Cam straight away on the run down to Puon. Look at this. Steven very close in the background now to Jacko. He's not quite there, but that's probably not the sort of place you want to put your nose up the inside. That's very likely to use your front wing. So Jacko now just trying to hold on to third place, but he's got Steven right behind him as Brewer retires from the session as well. Out the Giovinazzi crash corner. So, but it looks like we haven't got VSCs this time, so the race is just going to carry on. Steven very close now. We're down to 12 runners in this race. He runs very wide through Blanchimont, and that's going to open the door for VTEC to look to have a move. Up the outside, this turns to the inside through the final corner, very late on the brakes, and he makes the move stick. So now Jacko's going to have a couple cars behind him looking at it, trying to make a move. I believe DRS is going to be reactivated this lap as well, so That's only going to make it interesting now on this run up with Camel Straight as Jacko runs very, very wide. VTEC's going to look to make a move just as they head down towards Eau Rouge. He's through up to third place, so he's now on the podium. Jacko's going to be a bit disappointed, but he's on those old mediums now, as other drivers around him actually. Everyone's on old softs. Run down Camel Straight. Jacko looking to make the move back now. He's got the DRS. He's up the inside, but VTEC holds it very well on the outside, very late on the brake. Steven's now going to come into the picture, just behind Jacko. He might have been held up a little bit by that. A couple drivers in the pits again, AFL and Greg in the pit again, so their restarts obviously didn't quite go to plan. We fly down now, through No Name, down on the run towards Pouon. Steven very close. Is he going to have a look? Oh, it looked like he was almost going to try and dive up the inside through Pouon for a second there. That would have been a very, very brave move, but he's got a much better run out of Pouon. He's going to let's go around the outside. Jacko holds it there just about. But look at these cars. 5 cars also close to each other now. Just a couple tenths between them. Up front as well, Spudhead's closing in on Max. So, and I think someone's round. I think X-Cam's round. So, oh dear, another crash out of that corner, causing the drivers fits today. Spudhead very close now as we go on the run down towards the last corner, but he's not quite there yet. Jacko defending for his life as well. He's got 3-4 cars into the AlphaTauri, loses a bit of his front wing. He crashes into the back of him. Hobbsy gets through. He's going to dive into the pit, Steven, so he's going to drop right down towards the back of the grid now as well. We're not that far beyond the safety car. Hobbsy's going to be very close now on this run down. He's on the hards. Remember, he had a collision fairly early on in this race, or he crashed, and he went onto the hard tyres, so he's looking to go to the end now. As they run up the hill, he's going to have DRS. You see what sort of run he gets. It looks like he's got a very good run. Spudhead up front now. Is he going to be close enough for a move? No, he's not into the chicane, but Hobbsy may be. Jacko's looking to go defensive, so Hobbsy's going to have to go the long way round, which then turns to the short way as they go into the next part of the corner, and he makes the move stick. Well, fabulous restart on Pope as well. Him and Alfie right from the back of the grid. Oh no, he's lost it. I was just about to see how well he's doing, and I just gave him a bit of the old commentator's curse, because the next thing I look is I click onto him and he's spun round. So he's going to be gutted with that. He was doing so well after the restart. Spudhead now so close behind Max. Just a tenth or two between them. These guys are going absolutely toe to toe for this provisional race win right now. Of course, still a long, long way to go. 30 laps left of this Belgian Grand Prix. So now fly down through Sector 3. He's probably going to be deploying all the DRS he's got. Of course, no DRS through here, but the toe certainly helps you some. Through Blanchimont now. Very quick right-hander. Flat out. He's not... Oh, he is. He's going for a move into the last corner. Side by side. Spudhead's still got the inside through here. He's going to have the DRS as well because he was behind. Max gets a slightly better run, but the DRS could equalise it. Is he going to look for a move? No, he thinks better of it. He's going to wait until the Camel Straight now. Very good racing here for the race win. Very clean driving from these two, looking to make their mark on this season. Of course, only round 1, but you can get a race win early on, really set the tone. Spudhead now, he's going to have DRS. Surely he's going to get this move done. He's within a tenth as they get to the DRS line. You'd think he's going to fly past, but Max is still there. He can look to keep us up the inside. And Spudhead just gets through. As the gaps start to open up again within the field now, of course, less drivers meaning a bit more of a gap in pace. So we could see maybe a bit more sparse racing from now on. Most drivers not with DRS, unfortunately. As Blaze said, you wouldn't think there's been a recent safety car of some of these gaps that have opened up, but in the lower divisions you do often get this kind of discrepancy in pace between the drivers. Spudhead now just going to look to pull that gap away. Of course, he is on the soft, so he's going to have to stop again, most likely, before the end of the race. But Max might not have to, so he's going to have to get about a 20 or so second gap around this track. It is one of the longer pit stops on the calendar. This driver's just started to settle down now, but Alfie's closed up very close to the back of Jacko, so see what's going on back there. As they come through the end of Sector 2 now, Alfie's not that far away, only 6 tenths. He could be looking to make a move here in a second. See, fly through a very quick left-hander there. Blanchimont in towards the final corner. As the Alfa Romeo very nearly loses the back end. So Jacko's going to be under pressure again now from Alfie behind him. He's had a bit of a topsy-turvy race. He was up the front and then he's dropped right down to the back, and now he's towards the midfield again. So probably not the consistency he's looking for as Jacko loses the back end again. Could we see side-by-side for a Rouge for the first time today? But I think Alfie just thought better of it. I think he's just viewing the long term here rather than the short term. But he's going to be looking to get a much better run here onto the Kemmel Straight. He pulls side by side. Jacko forces him a bit wide, but surely he's going to get the move done. Yes, he is. Jacko tucks back into the slipstream. Max keeping that gap just around a second right now to Spudhead out front. So certainly not pulling away. Of course, both these drivers here fighting for quite a high amount of points here. 5th place as it stands. Penalties ahead. Hobbsy does have one. I believe he's got a 3-second penalty. So all the drivers that are on softs right now, you're probably going to be thinking they're going to stop again. Drivers further back on the harder tyres, they might be able to go to the end here. So very, very interesting strategic race right now. Of course, drivers just going to be settling in to their rhythm right now. We're just going to be trying to find that rhythm, find the consistent braking points and turning in points. Well, they've probably been practicing all week on time trial as well. Don't forget, these guys, as much as they are in Division 2, they certainly put the same amount of practice in as the top guys. And Jacko very close now, only 3 tenths away as they head into the final corner. I don't think he's going to look to make a move, but there certainly could be one on the card soon. Struggling to keep that rear end of the Alfa Romeo in check a bit though. It's costing him a little bit of time through the final couple corners. The pit window is open if you are on your original tyres, on the softs. I don't think too many people will be though, and of course we have had a safety car, so the tyres aren't going to be as worn as they otherwise would be. Drivers now just flying around the track. Gap starting to open up a bit. We've got a few seconds here and everything, guys. So Liverpool fan very close to the back of X-Cam as well as they head into the final corner, so that could be a battle to watch out for. As we just watched Jacko here on the Kemmel Straight, but he just can't quite close up enough on that bit of track. Liverpool fan, they're very close to the back of X-Cam now, so only a few attempts as X-Cam runs wide, so Liverpool fan will swoop through and take that position on the much fresher tyres. He's looking to pull away. Of course, X-Cam is now going to have DRS up the straight, but it looks like he's made a bit of a mistake through our Rouge as well, so that's cost him a bit of time. So he jumped back on board with Jacko, kind of the closest battle going on track right now, but Alfie's starting to pull away. He's on 7-lap fresher soft, so Jacko actually, I believe, is the only driver who's still on the tyres they started the race on. After only 17 laps and several retirements. I believe that safety car probably did for a bit of a spanner in the works though. So here we are now, driver just settling down into pace. I believe X-Cam may have had an issue there, or AFL, so oh, VTEC's had an issue actually. It looks like he's lost it in the final chicane, or he's had damage and he's now had to dive into the pit, so he's going to be mightily unhappy with that. So we're kind of back to the original front three now of Hobbsy, Max and Spudhead, just in a slightly different order than they were after qualifying yesterday. Jacko now, he's very close as they run up through Rouge. There's a slight lift there as he loses the back end. A lot of drivers picking up penalties now as well. We'll have a quick look at those in a second and see who's on what. But first, Jacko's going to be looking to make this move. Is he going to make it? Yes, he's going to pull to the inside through the chicane. Alfie brakes later. Oh, and he's spun! I don't know if it was contact or if he just lost the rear end, but he's going to be pretty unhappy about that. Got away with no damage though, so it could have been worse. And I believe it was X-Cam that spun round, so he's now pitted. Jump back up to the front. Max keeping that gap pretty interesting now to Spudhead. He's not far behind him as things stand. So yes, AFL overtaking VTech as well. So I don't know if VTech's had an issue. Yes, he has. He's crashed up a Aruja. It might just be the cold tires up there. Oh, and he's got damage. He's got severe damage to his front wing as well. So he's going to have to come back into the pits again. So another front runner, or guy who was near the front of the race anyway, back into the pits for another set of tyres. I'm amazed these garages have any tyres left. We jump back now with Max, of course, see what's going on at the front of the grid. Let's just have a look at the penalty. So AFL with 9 seconds of penalty so far, so he's had a bit of an issue with track limits. Everyone else on 3 seconds who's got a penalty right now. So as it stands, Spudhead doesn't even need to be in front of Max as they cross the line. Of course, we look at kind of the winners and losers of this race so far. Liverpool fan getting 11 positions. And Pope getting 10 as well, as Max just can't quite get close enough, but he's eking closer and closer each lap that we go around this very long circuit. 4.3 miles, don't forget. Nailing a pit stop here, very crucial as to when you actually come in. The driver's a bit spread out now, so probably see a few less crashes, a few less safety cars. So yes, VTech back in the pits again. So I might even give Greg a chance to overtake him now. So VTech may find himself right down at the back. Drivers just starting to really settle down into their groove now. This is a very long race. It does feel like it goes on for quite a while, this one. So you'll certainly find drivers they're just starting to settle down now. Just gotta find that pace, find the turning into. As Andrew Cave says, go on Spud as he currently leads this race, but only 6 heads ahead from Max as he very nearly loses the rear end. And very nearly crashes into the wall. Of course, the wall very close there out of the exit of turn 1 as they now fly up the hill. He's quite close this time, only 6 tenths behind, but I don't think he's going to be quite close enough to go for a move here after the camel straight. He's going to be very close indeed. Blaze pointing out in the chat that it's called bingo when everybody has penalties. Apparently other commentators get excited over it, so that's something to keep an eye on as we go through the race. Of course, only 3 drivers out of 12 now without penalties for the race, so we're not too far off it. We're not even at half race distance yet. As Max just pushing that car to the limits right now, very nearly loses the rear end again. You can see how desperate he is to try and get back in front of Spudhead. Of course, he knows he has that penalty, but Spudhead will probably have to pit again. Max may have to as well. Be very impressive if he goes to the end on those tyres. Thank you, Andrew. It's my pleasure. I always love commentating over league racing, especially races as interesting as this one. 100% is certainly a different strategy. I normally only commentate 50% races, so it is a bit of an interesting strategy, this one. When you have a 100% race, you know, you have to consider the long game, and the tyres do wear a bit slower as well. Of course, they are scaled to race percentages. Max just not quite able to get close enough right now. Of course, any mistake by Spudhead, and he's going to pounce on it as much as he can. So he's just going to be trying to keep that pressure on him right now. Of course, with the penalty though, not so much in his hands. He's got to get past him and be clear of him by 3 seconds at the end of the race. A lot of drivers now, if they do pit, will probably be the last one for the race, barring damage. So Taito is very important. Max just not able to get quite close enough on the run through Rouge and Radion. So he's going to be pretty disappointed with that. Unfortunately, for some reason, the pop-up at the bottom of my screen isn't working. So I don't actually know when people are getting penalties, unless they don't already have one. We'll just have a quick look. So Pope up to 6 seconds now as well. Of course, AFL still on 9 seconds. The current race leader in penalties. So again, drivers and commentators, of course, kind of just settling down now. You often would have Sky pop down to Ted in the pit lane. Unfortunately, I don't quite have that, so you're stuck here with me for the next 22, 23 laps or so. As Blaze does point out, actually, quite rightly in the chat, so long left that it's very difficult to stay completely focused for 80 minutes or so. It is quite a big task, of course. The drivers in real life have to train and do all their tests and stuff before races. Greg's been overtaken by VTech, so VTech making a move further down the grid. Now here's another one you don't often get in shorter league races, is back markers. Of course, they can always throw a spanner in the works. Obviously these days in F1 they are under blue flag, so they do have to get out of the way, but they can always do it in a place that is a bit inconvenient or a bit annoying. You never know. As Max is now very close, he's got a very good run through Radion. He's going to let to make a move. He's well clear. Look at that overspeed of the Mercedes, a bit like real life with the Mercedes power there. Of course, McLaren getting that in real life as well, as Alfie comes into the pits now, so that'll probably be his last pit stop, as they're still side by side. I didn't quite expect the McLaren to stay there. They're still going to be side by side into this right-hander as well. Wheel-to-wheel racing. I think the Mercedes just got to come out just ahead, but I didn't expect Spudhead to keep it there. That's why I wasn't really focusing on it. What an amazing piece of racing there by Max and Spudhead through probably one of the bits of a track you don't often do it on. Drivers further down the grid as well making pit stops. Pope made his pit stop, so that should be his last one for the race too. Of course, the game says the mediums should go from about half distance to the end. Spudhead's still very close here. Of course, he is on the softer tyres, so that is going to give him a bit of a boost. As they come on the run through Sector 3 now. He's only 4 tenths behind, just trying to stay in that slipstream, stay just tucked in there. Trying to get as close as he can for this final chicane, but I know he's going to be quite close enough. Further down the grid as well, Pope's come out of the pits just behind Liverpool fan on fair fresher tyres. His X-Cam dives into the pits now, only 3 laps old, so he may have some damage somewhere. The leaders now as Spudhead comes into the pit, so the soft tyres have obviously had enough. He can't take them any further into the race he feels. He's going to be looking to go to the end now, possibly try the undercut here on Max. He's going to come out in a bit of clean air. The only car around him is probably going to be Hobbsy, who is on hards. Of course, X-Cam, the tyres, he's lost it through Radion. Oh no, he's lost it on the exit, so we're down to 11 drivers now. We're getting close to Blaze's prediction of 8. Of course, that is one of the easier places to lose it on this track as well. I'm just going to jump further back because Pope is very close here to Liverpool fans, so a bit of racing further back down the grid into the final corner. Not quite close enough to make the move there, but he's certainly going to be close enough to look to make a move, not this corner, but maybe at the top of the hill. After that long run along the Kemmel Straight. They now fly up the hill, of course, one of the more famous sights in Formula 1. Radion and Rouge, as he's going to be very close here. I think he's going to look to make the move into the chicane, but they're going to have to be side by side. He's not going to be clear, and he thinks better of it. He backs out. He's just thinking of that long game. He's obviously on the fresh tyres as well, as you can see on the left. He's on fresh mediums, whereas Liverpool fan is on 8-lap-old softs, so they're going to be starting to wear a little bit now, up to about 20%, I'd imagine. So now for Spudhead, it's all about just putting quick, consistent laps in. Just trying to really just make that undercut work. As Blaze points out, he thinks a pit stop around here is about 23 seconds, which is about right for Spa. So As it stands right now, Max is very much in pit stop range. He's either have to go to the end, or he's going to have to make a pit stop and try and overtake him on track. Of course, he does have a 3-second penalty as well, which certainly isn't going to help matters. We're down to 2 drivers, by the way, without penalties for bingo, so just Spudhead and Greg holding out on us now. This driver's just quite spread out now. Of course, this track is quite long. There are a fair few corners. It does give the drivers a fair bit of differentiation in speed and that sort of thing. Pope going to have DRS now down the pit straight, but he's not going to be quite close enough. As Blaze points out, Max, if he does pit onto softs towards the end, it could be very, very quick indeed. Daniel Ricciardo-esque around China, if you guys remember that, a couple years ago, when he made the right call to pit. I believe it was under a safety car, and just zoomed through the grid towards the end of the race. So Spudhead right now not really gaining that much on Hobbsy, so interesting to see how if their interval time falls at all. Stephen also closing up to the back of Jacko, so Jacko once again being put under a bit of pressure. He did have a bit of a reprieve for a few laps, but once again he has someone right behind him looking to make a move. As Stephen does run a bit wide. Of course, we have seen a few retirements there today as well. So here we go now. Stephen very close indeed here through Sector 3. He could be possibly looking to make a move here into the final chicane. As he does pull to the inside. Is he going to look to keep it there? Yes, he is. Late on the brakes. Jacko maybe just backing out. No, he stays side by side. But Stephen's going to get the inside line. And he's going to fly through on those fresher softs. Jacko on 23 lap old mediums now. So they're going to be starting to scream at him a little bit. Probably up to about 40% wear at this point. They're not going to be comfortable anymore as they were when he first put them on. Jacko got a good run now out of turn 1. He's going to be looking to come back at him here up the hill. You just see the difference in those softs, so the grip Stephen has got through his high speed corners really helping him keep advantage. And Spudhead right now is gaining. He's gained a second or so on Hobbsy in the last lap or two, so he's certainly looking quite quick on those fresh mediums and kind of giving Max maybe a bit of cause for concern, because obviously he's going to be seeing that gap full in the top left of his screen, or wherever he has the lap counter, as Pope has finally got to look to make a move on Liverpool fan in the background. And yes, he does. He gets it done on the Camel Straight. So he's certainly trying to do a good recovery drive. At one point he was a minute behind the car in front, so a very impressive drive from him so far to climb back up towards the front of the grid. We see here Spudhead just clawing gap after gap. Yes, Hobbsy did lose a second as well to Max, but Spudhead still gaining time. He went from 6.5 to 5.2 seconds the last couple of laps. Of course, the driver's now negotiating back markers, so that's going to certainly throw a spanner in the works. Of course, you do get DRS off a car that you are lapping, so you can sometimes almost try and time your overtakes of back markers just so you pick up DRS as you go past them. Really helps you gain a gap on them. Let's just have a quick look at the gap to the leader here. So as you can see, as it stands, Spudhead only 18 seconds behind, so he is still very much within overtaking Max under a pit stop. As Hobbsy's tyres are just starting to wear and wear now, because he's on 22 lap hards. I don't think he's going to be able to take those to the end, so he is going to have to pit at some point, but it's all the case of if Spudhead comes up behind him, if he gets stuck behind him maybe. Of course, Liverpool fan though, not letting this place go without a fight as he's looking to come back now. Pope as they fly up here along the Camel Straight. He's got a very, very, very good run on him. This could be a move into the chicane. They might be side by side. Yes, they are. It's all a matter of who's on the brakes, but no, he gets through just before and comes back onto the racing lines. A very good move there by Liverpool fan. even though he's on the older tyres, the more worn tyres, he's certainly putting up a very good fight here with Pope. Max may have made a mistake going that last lap. Hobbsy has gained a good 8 tenths on him or so. So this is where the concentration and the attrition of these drivers really starts to set in. You know, who can keep that extra little bit of focus, just to keep those lap times up, than the drivers around them. That can make all the difference in a race like this. Of course, drivers are all aware and alert when they're side by side at the start of a race on lap 1, but when you get to these laps, the middle laps, almost the dog days laps of the race, the driver starts, you know, just kind of lose a bit of concentration. You miss a braking point, you miss a turning in point, and suddenly that gap to the car behind has lost a few seconds, and it's just a little bit more pressure on you then. See here, Pope very close here behind Liverpool fan. Could he possibly look to make a move into turn 1? Probably not the best place to do it, because then they do get DRS back on you up the hill. No, he stays behind him, probably thinking exactly what I am, as Liverpool fan does get a pretty good run there though out of turn 1. Daniel Robinson wishing Max on in the chat, saying, come on Max, representing Fair League Racing. Max having a few supporters today in the chat, a few drivers willing him on who aren't here today or who aren't racing in this division. Spudhead as well having a bit of support, as Pope is still very close to Liverpool fan, only 5 tenths away. It's a very, very interesting race, this one. Of course, strategically, a lot of drivers want very, very different races right now, as Hobbsy's actually keeping that gap to Max pretty close. Should mention as well, of course, Spudhead gaining a bit more on Hobbsy in front, so he's certainly making those fresher tyre counts. Hobbsy now on 24 lap old hard tyres. They're going to be getting pretty worn and pretty rubbish at this point. So of course, that's the gap to watch really. That gap between Spudhead to Hobbsy to Max, because that could decide this race as we head towards the end. Of course, Hobbsy as well does have a 3-second time penalty. So again, as Blaze predicted earlier in the chat, but he thinks the winner of this race won't be first on track, which certainly could be interesting. Pope very close now to Liverpool fan as they go into turn 1, but not quite there. He's just waiting for that Kemmel straight just so we can get that DRS up the long hill as well. Oh. Daniel Robinson again saying, shout out to VTech2, who has had an interesting race to say the least. He was up on the podium at one point. And thank you for the comment on my commentary. I appreciate it. Blaze predicting Spud winning this one. So he's saying Spud has this. Of course, he is closing that gap a bit rapidly to Hobbsy in front. He's not gaining at a rapid rate, but he's certainly not hanging about either. He has shown he's got very good pace today in this race. This Pope just runs a little bit wide, but he gets a much better run than Liverpool fan. Possibly finding a couple extra attempts on that line, possibly. Flying on the run down now towards Pouon, but I'll be very interested to see if the drivers made a move through there today. I doubt they have. I haven't seen any. Maybe on lap 1. Into the chicane now, that quick right left. It's very easy to lose it on this exit as well if you run it a bit too wide. That gravel just there as well to launch you back across the track. Through the quick double right-handers now. We enter sector 2, start sector 3. Of course, they go pretty much flat out from here on out for the next 20 seconds or so. Pope's going to be tucked right into that slipstream as Stephen and Jacko are in the pits now. So here we go. It's going to be a bit of a shake-up. Alfie goes through into 4th place as it stands. Of course, we've got to watch the drivers on fresh rubber as Pope looked to make a move on the outside, but I think Liverpool fan wanted the pit lane, so he possibly slowed down a bit more than normal. So Liverpool fan pitting now as well, going on to fresh rubber towards the end of the race. Blaze pointing out Spud has to take care of his mediums in case he has to battle Max later on. I'd be very interested to see Max's tyre wear right now, actually. See what sort of pressure he's on, as Poper's not very close to Jacko, who's just come out of the pit lane. Jacko is going to be on those fresh tyres, but they're going to be very cold as well. It looks like he'll probably keep the position up here. Spudhead now got the gap down to 3 seconds, so if a race were to finish like this, he would take second place, just because of the penalty Hobbsy has. Of course, I can't see if drivers are getting any more penalties, which is very annoying. So I'll just check those in a second. So yeah, it's kind of a race of strategy now. It's a race of brains and not putting your car in the wrong place at the wrong time. It has become a very strategic race now, not just one of raw pace. Blaze predicting the top 2 to pit soon. I would say so as well. Of course, they'd have another 14 laps to go on those tyres, and as optimistic as I am, I think 40 laps on hards and 34 laps on mediums probably just isn't doable. You'd probably another a couple punches towards the end of that one. Let's jump on board now with Max. Let's see what's going on up here on these 20 lap mediums. Not really many battles going on down the grid at the minute, so we can give the Mercedes car some airtime. Not that it needs any more of it. As we just right on board with him here, just interesting to see what sort of lines is he taking, because Hobbsy's actually starting to gain time. Interestingly, he's gained a couple seconds over the last 4 or 5 laps, so I don't know if Max is making little mistakes here and there now. Maybe that concentration just starting to slip a little bit. Of course, this is as much a race of attrition as it is of raw pace, because, you know, raw pace can only take you so far. You need that concentration as well. So we go now, just on board with him here. There's a Liverpool fan actually very close further down the grid to AFL as they're on the run up to Rouge. So let's see what's going on back there. See, he's got a very good run compared to AFL, so he's going to look to make this move stick under the DRS. Looks like he's going to cruise past as they head down towards the chicane. Of course, Ferrari power not quite what it was in real life, as Max is into the pit, so he's the first one to crack up front. Be interested to see. I assume he'll be going on to the softs. Yes, he has, so watch out for this pace later in the race. This could be fastest lap worthy stuff. We see here now Spudhead really making those fresh tyres count. We'll see what sort of gap he's got by the time Max comes out the pits. I think it's going to be about 8 or 9 seconds maybe, as they're on the run up the hill. Actually going to be about 5 seconds, so not too bad given he's on fresh softs. Of course, Spudhead now can see Max behind him. He'll see that gap and he knows how quick he's got to go. Interesting to see Hobbsy as well, staying out on track as it stands. So he's taking those hard tyres quite far into the race at this point. Those tyres really start to wear now. Of course, drivers just wearing down a bit as well. Drivers going to be getting a little bit tired, especially the guys that are on wheels with force feedback. Their arms will be starting to get a bit tired. You know, their feet might be getting a bit achy. I mean, it's all so easy to make a mistake on a track like this, so you do have to be quite precise. So there's a few difficult traction zones and braking zones around this track. So Spudhead really gaining time now. I think Hobbsy's tyres are really starting to go off. I wouldn't be surprised if he pits at the end of this one. He's going to probably be within just under a second and a half by the time they finish this lap, so he's not too far behind now. Just looking further down the grid, so we have Hobbsy from Spudhead from Max, where Hobbsy's likely to pit. Then we have Alfie in P4, Stephen in P5, Jacko P6. Pope with quite an impressive drive up to P7 so far. Liverpool fan in 8th, AFL in 9th. VTech in 10th, and Greg rounding around the last of the current runners, of which we only have 11 left now. I'd be surprised if we lose any more, mind you. Of course, drivers quite spread out. Very difficult to hit each other when you've got 5-second gaps. Hobbsy's staying out though, so he obviously has some confidence in those tyres that the other drivers don't have. You see in the background now, Max taking 6/10 out of the gap between him and Spud on that last lap as he really starts to get those tyres up to heat now. So that's going to be something to watch out for towards the end of the race, of course. That's going to be the battle for the win, essentially, assuming that Hobbsy does pit. Or if he does pit, he's not leaving himself that long to make the time back up. He would currently come out in P3, so it would be a podium. But he'd be a long way behind Spud and Max, so... Blaze pointing out, it will be great to see how much people improve week on week. Even the guys at the front, you'll notice the little mistakes they were making before, the little inconsistencies, they do iron out over the course of a season with practice and that sort of thing. Of course, now we only have 12 laps remaining. We are heading there. We are nearly in the last quarter of the race. Thank you to everyone who's stuck along for the ride. It's certainly not been a short race today. Spud is now within a second of Hobbsy, but Max has taken another 7/10 out of that gap as well, so Max is absolutely flying on those softs right now. Of course, he does need to get at least 3 seconds clear of Spud to get the win, though, with a penalty, as Hobbsy finally calls it quits and dives into the pits, but that is going to give Spud DRS on this pit straight. Not going to gain too much time from it, though. Max has gained a lot of time here on the car in front, so it's down to 3.5 seconds. Did Spudhead maybe make the wrong call? Did he pit a bit too soon? Should he have gone a bit longer and gone onto the softs himself to have a similar pace? As we saw earlier, these two couldn't really separate themselves from each other. They are on a very similar pace. We're just going to have a quick look at the penalties. So Max still on 3 seconds. Hobbsy up to 6 now. Liverpool fan on 12 seconds. So he's obviously had a rough few laps. Pope and AFL on 9 seconds. AFL staying penalty free for a while now. Stephen also up to 6 seconds as well. So yes, as Blaze pointing out, Max did, I believe he did soft, medium, soft. And I think Spud did do soft, soft, medium. Yeah, he was on the softer tyre, so he did have to change compound, actually. He didn't have a choice in the matter. But as you can see now, Max is just eating away at that gap, lap after lap. It won't be long. I think it'll be about another 2-3 laps. He's going to be right on his tail, providing this sort of pace keeps up. Of course, they have clear air now. It's just pure pace and focus and will. Really, and how much can these guys put the car on the limit and keep it there without putting it in the wall? It is a very tricky conundrum, one that often drivers in real life struggle with, as we saw a few years ago with Max Verstappen in his second year at Red Bull, where he overdrove the car a lot and really struggled that year. And you see, he just kind of calmed it down a little bit, and you see how good of a driver he is in the last season. Max now only 1.8 seconds behind, 1.7 seconds behind as we come on to this lap. So he's going to be right behind him in just maybe a lap, because he's going to start to get DRS in a minute as well. Of course, only DRS in the Kemmel Straight and Pit Straight around Spa. And I would love to see it in Sector 3 as well. I think that would make the track a little bit more exciting. Blaze pointing out he does love to see a battle for the win. I think everybody does. There's nothing more exciting in many ways than a battle for first place, you know. What's better than a battle for first? A good, clean battle. How much ERS do they have? Blaze is asking. We're just going to pop up the telemetry. So, Spud's running about 30%, as is Max. So, fairly similar ERS. I don't know how they stand on fuel, of course. That can make a big difference if you put the fuel up to rich. Max kind of getting stuck here in this 1.3 second time range. Of course, in real life, you'd be getting quite a bit of dirty air right now. In the F1 game, not so much. It's not too bad, but still can affect your handling through the quick corner slightly and put a bit more wear on those tyres as well. They will get a little bit warmer. We'll go through the end of Sector 2 now. Max maybe making a mistake there because he lost a few tenths to him. So Spud probably breathing a bit of a sigh of relief that that gap has fallen down. Or stopped falling down, I should say. You know, it's just kind of stayed steady for this lap. So he'll be quite happy about that after the gap just fell away the last few laps. So these guys now, the last 10 laps of the race. This is what it all comes down to. It's been a long race so far, especially with me failing to get the lobby set up properly. Now within a second, so he may have DRS here on the Camel Straight. Max is just going to get closer and closer now to the back of Spud. It's all about, can Spud hold him off for long enough so he doesn't have time to pull a gap ahead of him. Because Max does need to be 3 seconds clear. Just remember that by the end of the race, with that 3-second time penalty. So Spud doesn't need to be ahead on track to win as long as he's within that 3-second time frame. Of course, both these drivers are going to be looking to make their mark, set out the early goalposts of I'm here to win and I'm going to do it. Spud could be walking a bit of a tightrope though with corners like that. That's a very easy place to pick up a warning. See now Max is just within 5 tenths. You see that speed the soft tyres can carry through those corners. Of course, in the dirty air now, it starts getting a little bit warmer. Spud's goal now has just got to be to keep Max behind him for as long as he physically can. Otherwise, he may see this win float off into the sunset on the back of that Mercedes. Flying now through sector 3. The drivers just kind of spread out now. You'll find them doing their own races. They're not really battling each other at this point, apart from the front two, which is the one that everybody wants to see. They want to see the front two battle it out on track. As much as there are penalties involved, no one ever wants to see a race decided by penalties, as we saw Sebastian Vettel in Canada a couple years ago. And we are now into turn 1. You see how close Max is. He's going to get such a good run up the Camel Straight. He's going to be within 3 tenths by the time we even get to Eau Rouge. This is surely his position for the taking, with 8 laps left in this race. They fly along the Camel Straight. Max has got to open that rear wing up, get that extra 15 kilometers an hour or so. They're heading towards the chicane. They're gonna be. No, Max has got through. So now it's all about, can he open that gap? Can Spud stay close enough? Any mistake now and it could cost them the race. And they've already done 36 long laps around Spa. Of course, we had the safety car. We've had about 5 virtual safety cars as well. Just adding to this race, just making those drivers that bit more tired, that bit more worn down by the time we get to the end of it. Of course, Spot's going to be looking to keep this within a second now. Keeping that DRS range, it means he doesn't have to be as quick through the corners, but he's keeping right on Max's rear wing right here. So maybe that's giving him a little bit of a wake-up call. Seeing the rear wing of the Mercedes fly by down the Camel Straight. We're flying now through sector 3. Be interesting to see here. Of course, Spot only needs to be within 3 seconds. Remember, he does not have to be ahead on track to win this race, as it stands. Of course, if he does pick up a penalty, that changes the whole complexion of it. Yeah, Blaze pointing out softs might lose their super speed in a few laps, and then putting now, so possibly could have with Spud only being a few tenths behind, because he is going to have DRS, so that's going to help him close up as well. So Max needs to pull out that gap really through the middle and final sector, because that's going to be where you're able to use the most of those softs as well through the high-speed corners. I'd just like to point out as well, there is potential traffic as well. I think it may catch up to VTEC by the end of this race. That could throw another spanner in the works. Spud's only 6 tenths behind here, so by the time we get to the end of the DRS straight, only going to be about 3 laps behind each other. 3 tenths behind each other, sorry, even. So we now have 7 laps to go. This is what it all comes down to now. Oh, and Spud runs very wide. That could have been almost, that was almost very costly for the McLaren driver there. Nearly launched him into the barrier. That's a very dangerous curve to get on. You certainly don't want to use that one all too often. But he manages to keep it quite close here now. Oh, sorry about that one, folks. As Clausen gets a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Blair's just saying, keep it clean, Spud. That's all he's got to be thinking right now. He's now within, well, he's now about a second behind, so is he going to get DRS? I think he just might, which is just going to give him that 10th or 2 down the pit straight, but Max's fresh soft tyres are going to be starting to, no, they're going to be starting to wear a little bit now. Of course, it's a 100% race, so not as much as they would be in a shorter race, of course. They are scaled to the race distance. We have 6 laps left to go now, 1.5 second gap. Spud might just be slowly seeing that race win slip away ahead of him. I know he's going to be pushing that car with everything it's got now for these last few laps. Just trying to keep within those 3 seconds, that's all he's going to be focusing on. So there's yellow flags in sector 2, I think. Liverpool fan may have had a bit of a coming together with Greg as he lapped him, I think. Greg certainly not having the race he would have wanted. Struggled very much, and those hard tyres are going to be very warm now as well. Spud 1.8 seconds back now. This is what everyone watching is going to be looking at now. Just that interval gap up in the top left of the screen, because that's what's going to decide this race as it stands. Max ahead on track, but currently Spud ahead on the timing board due to that penalty. Max may be kicking himself later on tonight about that one if it costs him this race. We still have 5 laps to go after this one. Certainly a long time, a very easy mistake. That costs you a couple seconds and there you go, you're out of the race contention. Spud may be wishing he just kept it a bit cleaner, maybe run those softs a little bit longer earlier, just to keep these mediums a bit fresher as well. So as it stands, Max only has a 3-second penalty, Hobbsy on 6, Alfie on 6, Stephen up to 9 as well, Jacko's up to 6 seconds now, Pope's up to 9, Liverpool fan up to 15 seconds, AF up to 12, and Vitek up to 3, so we might not get a bingo tonight. As it stands, we only have 2 drivers without penalties. It's now up to 2.4 seconds. This could be it. This could be the race win here, slipping away from Spud. He's not on DRS range anymore. It looks like they may catch up to the back of VTEC by the end of this race as well. So that will certainly help Max, because he will get DRS as they go past him, of course, as the rules work nowadays. It's been a very exciting race. We had a lot of crashes, a lot of thrills early on. Drivers struggling to settle into their rhythm as well, of course being broken up by a few virtual safety cars and an actual safety car, which stayed out for 2 laps. These drivers are going to be struggling a lot right now. This is sort of where the adrenaline kicks in though. Spud gaining a few tenths, that's all he's going to be looking at. After every corner he's going to be looking at that timing board up in the top left, just seeing what the gap is. Has he gained? Has he lost? You see. Oh no, Spud picked up a penalty! Oh no, Spud's picked up a penalty. That means he now has to win this race on track. He's going to be absolutely gutted about that. He's now 1.8 seconds back, and he knows he has to overtake Max. There is no sitting behind him anymore. He's got to catch up and overtake him again. And with Max on the softs, that might have just cost him a race. Oh, he's going to be absolutely heartbroken in that McLaren right now. He has 4 laps to gain 1.9 seconds on the Mercedes ahead. Oh, now he's going to be absolutely gutted. I can't believe it. You just need to keep it clean. And surely Spud would have had the race win. The gap wasn't extending that much. In fact, he was closing quite a lot. So we are now also just a quick 0.1 driver away from a bingo. We're just waiting on Greg. If he does pick up a time penalty, that will give us the full set today. All 11 drivers who are still on track, picking up penalties for the end of the race. You've got to think Spud now is going to be so demotivated after picking up that time penalty to really try and close up. He's not really gaining too much time as it stands. So we jump on board with Max, give him a bit of airtime after what has been certainly an interesting race for him. Never really dropped down, unlike some of the other drivers up near the front. Of course, Hobbsy is 11 seconds behind Spud, so he doesn't really have to worry about that. He's kind of in no man's land right now. 2.5 seconds back, yeah, he's got too much of a chance of closing it up, unless Max makes a mistake, of course. Pressure, nerves, last couple laps can always happen, but these guys have been at the front. They've been pretty impressive all race. Keeping it fairly calm. Blaze pointing out Max won on strategy. Yeah, to a degree I do think he did, but I also think that he has had the pace as well. It certainly hasn't been an undeserved win. We have had a fair few laps of racing, only with safety cars at the start, really holding the race up. So we've had about 30 or so laps of racing now. A lot of time for drivers to open up gaps and that sort of thing. So here we are now, the last few laps. Drivers kind of settled in their positions now. I'll be surprised if we see many more position changes as we head toward the end of this race. Of course, doesn't only take a simple mistake go. Around a track like Spa, very easy to do. There are plenty of curbs we can catch you out around here. So, just a quick question for anyone who has stayed in the chat for this long race. So, chat, who is your driver of the day? I've just been interested to see who you guys feel deserves it after today's race. Where is the position? Well, we will have a quick look at that for you, Blaze. We'll just see who's kind of gained the positions, who's been the winners and losers. So, Liverpool fan certainly having a good race, 11 positions, as has Pope, 9. The front of the grid not really changing too much, surprisingly, from this race. So we have Max currently where he started the race. Spudhead gaining a position, Hobbsy losing one. Alfie and Stevens swapping positions as well. Otherwise, most of the big gainers have been guys at the back who maybe avoided the lap 1 collisions and that sort of thing. So, anyone in the chat, if you just want to pop in who your driver of the day has been, who do you feel deserves those extra 2 points, of course, not just a ceremonial thing in this league. You do get 2 extra points for it as well, so it's not just a little nice memento, you do get something for it. And at the end of the day, that could swing the title race. Blaze saying he thinks Max for driver of the day. Of course, I am the main voter for driver of the day, so that's always an interesting one. So there have been a few drivers who have impressed me today. So I'm going to be giving it a little think over. I'm not just going to blurt out a name. Blaze saying Max because he played the strategy well and a good overall speed, which of course you do need, as much as there is, you know, luck with strategy. You'd certainly need the raw speed as well. Just pointing out as well, the 8 DNFs, the guys at the back probably didn't do as much. So you see those 11 positions, you'd have to remember that probably about 6 or 7 of them did retire. You do still need to be in the right place at the right time, not get involved in any of those collisions. As Max is now on the penultimate lap 43 of 44. It's certainly been a long one. The drivers will certainly be glad that this is over. Not because, you know, they don't enjoy racing, but because it's such a long grind, this race. It's certainly not an easy one. Of course, any endurance race is difficult. You ever try and do a career mode race on 100%, you certainly find how quite tiring and difficult it is to keep that concentration there for the whole lap. Greg pitting onto softs as well, so he may be shooting for fastest lap here, which would be a nice, interesting one to see. course, it is 2 points for fastest lap as well. So it's yeah, 2 points for fastest lap, 2 points for driver of the day, 4 extra points on offer if you do happen to clean sweep them. If you won the race and got both of those, that's 29 points for the race. So that's certainly not a bad haul for a weekend. Here we are now on board with Max, just keeping it nice and steady out front. In fact, he's losing a little bit of time now to Spud, but he knows he can afford to. Of course, if Spud didn't have that penalty, we'd certainly be watching that interval gap with a lot more excitement. So here we are now on board with Max as he goes on to the last lap, nearly loses the rear end a bit there. That would be a heartbreaker. Does VTech beat AFL? Asks Blaze in the chat. He might do, because I believe AFL had 15 seconds. No, he's got 12. VTech has 3. So, yes, as it stands, he would, I believe. In fact, we could have a few position changes from penalties. I don't think anyone's got too many to worry about. Because we are just one driver away from a bingo as well. On board now with Max. This final time through the second sector, he will certainly be glad to see the back of it, after I'm sure of all the practice he's done in the week. And then qualifying yesterday and the race today, it's been a very, very long, draining race for everyone involved. Certainly me, I was up at 3:45 this morning for my job, so... Oh, and Greg does get a penalty. So there we go. That is the bingo. Every remaining driver has now got a time penalty. So there we go. Just for anyone who is still watching, that is the full grid of time penalties. Yeah, actually, as Blaze said in the chat, just a big well done to everyone who has finished the race today. Of course, 44 laps is certainly not easy. A massive respect to them for driving it. I'm tired enough just commentating it. Spud actually closed the gap quite a lot on that last lap. He gained about a second, but too little, too late, unfortunately, for the McLaren driver, as Max comes across the line to win round 1 here in Belgium, with Spud in second place. Going to be gutted he got that time penalty. Hobbsy crossing the line in third, with Alfie coming across the line in P4. Greg finishes because he was a lap down. These drivers are going to be certainly glad to see the back of this track. Oh. And Spud saying he did actually get a drive-through at some point. So that's a very impressive drive to end up back in second place. That was an incredible race, and credit to everyone involved. It was certainly a great one to commentate on. So as we just wait for the final few cars to come across the line, we will get the classification for you then. Just have them. And Stephen picks up another time penalty. Just for good measure, I finally get the race control updates telling me who has a penalty, as I think McLaren may have run out. Oh no, I think he just had a spin somewhere. So here we are now, just waiting on the final car, VTech, to come across the line to finish the race. So there we go, that's the end of the first round in Division 2 of the Endurance Season 7. There we go, Liverpool fan gets driver of the day from the game. So there you go, folks, that is the 100% Belgium race. As we see here, Max celebrating out on the podium. He's going to be certainly very happy about that. That was a grueling race for him. But well done to everyone involved. That was an incredible race. certainly some highs, certainly some lows. Certainly a lot for everyone to take away from that. So, as the drivers finishing up celebrating on the podium, we go to the classified grid then for the end of the race. We have Max in first, taking the first race of the season. Spudhead in second, Hobbsy in third, Alfie in P4, Stephen P5, Jacko P6, Pope in seventh, Liverpool Fan 8th, VTech 9th, AFL 11th, and Greg rounding out the finishers in 11th place. And then your DNFs for the day was XCam, Brewer, Ryan Mills, Wyatt, J Wills, IFR Clausen, Lewis, and Whitey. We're just going to see if the top three do want a quick interview for you guys. Okay, everyone, if you just want to stick around, we do have some interviews, so we're just going to interview Max first. Just once. Hiya, Max. Oh, you there, Max? Oh, sorry, mate. I've got everyone else muted, so. So first, it's alright. That's alright, no worries. I'll wait a second.
Yep, everyone's muted apart from you.
Oh, good. So, Max, first race of the season, first win. How does it feel after that one?
Amazing. I cannot believe it. I didn't. This is just like it was a dream to win a race in COS, and it's come true.
So, how did that feel? 44 laps around Belgium. It's quite a grueling race, that one, isn't it?
You know, be honest with you, this is my first time I've done a 100% league race, and the car felt completely different to a 50% league race.
How did you find it? Did you have to change your driving style at all?
Yeah, the car felt so heavy at the start, and after the safety car restart, if you see, I lost a few positions, and then I got it back. So I don't know if my tyre temps went down too much, and I just struggled a little bit. But then once I got into the groove, and that's it, I just got it. I just got the win, shall I say? Because the Sparhead, he received a 3 second penalty when there's 5 laps to go. So I was lucky.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you about that, actually. Just a final question, really. How did you feel? Because obviously I know you knew you had a 3 second penalty. When you saw him get a penalty, was there just a bit of relief, I assume, like wash over you then?
Oh yeah, definitely. When he didn't have the penalty and I overtook him, I had to make a 3 second gap, which I was doing, but he was also catching me up at the same time. But as soon as he got the 3 second penalty, I was just taking it easy then, especially in the last lap. I just didn't want to crash.
Yeah, well, very well done on the first race win of the season. I will certainly keep an eye on you, even if I'm not commentating through the next races. Have a good one, mate.
Thank you very much. Thank you for streaming.
That's all right, mate. Right. Oh, get Spudhead in here now. uh...
So I went to Blue Water Shopping Centre. I couldn't get one from there. And
oh.
then Game Shop was all shut down because of COVID. And then I had to go down my cousin's house, pick one up, and drive 20 miles back. I got home at 9:10.
Hiya, Spud.
Oh,
Hello.
Do you want to mute everyone else, or do you just want to crack on?
I've muted them, that's fine, yeah.
Okay, so second place. How do you feel about that one? Obviously, I assume there was a bit of sadness and anger there, obviously.
Not too bad. The drive-through, I think, costed me. But, I'm just happy to be on the podium still, to be honest. Can't go
So,
wrong.
how does it feel then after 44 laps of Spa? It's certainly a grueling race, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm absolutely shattered now.
I'm shattered just from commentating it, to be fair. So, just one more question, really. So, when you were on those 5 laps to go and you knew you had to be within 3 seconds, what was it like when you saw that penalty timer pop up? I assume you must have been absolutely gutted, weren't you?
Yeah, I got 2 warnings in that one lap which gave me the penalty, obviously, so I was pushing too hard and then just tried burning everything else I had to get the 3 seconds on overtaking, but it didn't work.
Well, certainly you gave us a good race, fighting from the back after that drive-through. Certainly a podium as well, you can't argue with that. So I will keep an eye on you and enjoy the rest of the season, mate.
Cheers for the last second stream and commentary.
That's all right, mate, no worries.
See you in a bit.
So just one final sign off for me. Thank you everyone who's joined in, everyone who's left a comment. It's been an honour streaming for you, and I may be back, I may not. I will catch you guys